What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Winning Wednesday here at Fourth and Go on the Heat Ratio Sports Network. I'm Dave Gleckner. Pour one out for those Phillies, and that's Marc Thomasine. What's up, buddy?
What up, what up? It's actually a Winning Wednesday, something the Phillies probably haven't done in God knows how long. It's been brutal, but they finally, pull one out tonight. It's good to see them get back on winning ways, but, at an interesting time, a pivotal time in what might be their season. So interested to talk about that.
Yeah, can't wait to talk about the Phillies. We got the Sixers, a little bit NBA Finals. We'll definitely get into all that and maybe a little NFL and some NHL talk. Tonight, I bring to you the Angels hat only for one reason. My boy Mike Trout's coming to town, our local South Jersey guy coming to town this weekend, just sporting some love for him. But in the end, it is all about the Phillies. So I'll turn it around now and ready to talk about them. Man, I went to the game last night, Mark, and another brutal one. Like, this streak right here since they got back from that West Coast swing against the Dodgers has been bad. Losing a series to the Padres, losing a series to the Dodgers, swept by the Mets, losing 2 out of 3 against San Fran until they won tonight, obviously.
Yep.
It was 5 in a row. They finally broke the streak, now 22-29. And it's not like maybe one game in there they got blown out. But other than that, it's just been a classic dysfunctional, bad baseball, blow a game any way you can type of team in the past 2 weeks. It's been hard to watch.
It really has been. I mean, I'll be honest, I've been empathetic kind of towards it. It's, if I'm able to watch, Memorial Day, got home, or I was at my girlfriend's family's house and, sit there, watch the game, and you just think they were up. They went up 1-0. Then they might have went up 2-0. I'm just like, all right, when's it going to collapse? When's it going to fall down? And of course it did. It's just one of those things. It's honestly, I'm not rushing to my TV to watch the game because it's been mostly disappointing. And, when they signed Castellanos and Schwarber, you're like, it's going to be must-see TV in every at-bat. And I mean, this team has been beyond disappointing just from top to bottom.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, I get some must-see with Schwarber. He did it tonight, got the 12th home run to win the game, put him up 6-5. But, other than that, you're right, Castellanos, I like because
right.
And this stinks, but he's way better than what he is here. But he looks good here because no one else can hit. And he's still hitting only, I think, 260. But at least I feel with him, I got a guy that knows what he's doing up there. The rest of the team, I scratch my head. I watched, I think it was last night, Camargo watches one down the middle, swings it 2 in the dirt. See you later. Then, another bat, he comes up, they just fire 3 fastballs down the middle. Strike, strike, strike. And it's blowing my mind, the type of approaches these guys have. And obviously, I think a little bit stems from, still having Odubel Herrera running around there, bat flipping pop-ups. I don't know. They're dysfunctional. That's just my word.
They really have nothing going for them at this point. They really don't. They really don't. Because, right. I mean, they're about to run into some big issues now. You got the Segura injury. He's going to be out probably 3 months.
Yeah. Does that hurt you? I wonder.
He was one of your better hitters. In the field, I don't think it changes much. They brought Maton up. To me, it doesn't really change much there. But I think the thing is with Segura, he's on the streakier side, but he's more consistent than most of the other guys on the team.
I agree.
I think it does hurt.
He's just so undisciplined. I'm at the game last night, and we got second and third, no outs, ground ball to first. Guy never breaks. And all of a sudden, we don't score a run on a simple ground ball to first because, they had the infield in, but he was not in the first baseman.
Right.
And I'm just
I heard that on the radio last night. Yeah.
Oh, did they? Okay, because at the game, I'm flipping my hat, and these guys.
No, they said, why didn't he go?
It was.
They called it out.
It was so easy. Good. I'm glad they noticed it too. But yeah, so what's up, Cease? Yeah, big win tonight. It really was. Now we got the Angels rolling into town, so it's gonna be a fun weekend down there. Finally, the Phillies have played a tough schedule. It'll finally start to loosen up a little bit here. But yeah, I wonder what you think about Segura, because I will say this, and Mark, you say it's a loss, and I don't disagree from a batting average perspective. He's one of the higher hitters
Right.
on the team. I just I don't know. Look, Maton hit a homer tonight, right?
Right.
Sometimes there's a little bit of addition by subtraction, and I'm just Segura. Just I don't know. He's just not a very smart baseball player. That's the way I look at it. And I know we need his bat, and I know we need certain things. He swung at a ball last night, 2 feet outside. Like I'm just like, what is he doing?
I
So
yeah. See, to me, when a guy's swinging something like that, I think that's one, undisciplined, two, trying to do too much because you're trying to make up for what the rest of your team is lacking. And it's like it's typical, what Bryce does. I mean, Bryce, he goes up there when they're struggling, he's swinging at everything
yeah,
because they feel like they have to do this. They have to put on for the team, and it's not happening.
no, no, it's not. So well, with him going out, and you made a good valid point there. Nice, 10th and 12th. I'm trying to think here. They got
Uh,
I want to say it's
it's
the
not
Braves.
Milwaukee, is it?
I want to. It's we'll double check now. It's the Diamondbacks. Okay, cool, cool. I knew another team. They got some NL East games coming up after that too. It's the Marlins and Nationals after that. But awesome. Those will be fun games. Absolutely. One of them's a good day game. That might be a Father's Day game on Sunday. But yeah, so he's out now. They got to bring up Maton. Had a big hit tonight. The bottom of the order did come through. But here's my question to you. We're talking about hitting, and again, it is dysfunctional. But looking at the bullpen, once again, how can this happen every single freaking year that they can't get it right? Where is your level of confidence in Corey Knebel? Because I will tell you right now, mine is almost as low as it can be. And I know he got the save tonight, but it's pretty damn low.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how you're scaling it, but it's you don't trust him anymore. And
Yeah.
here's the thing that the Phillies continue to do, and they've done this. You know, they addressed the issues. They got some hitters, but they didn't get fielding, and then they got bullpen arms, but they got bullpen arms that were good 3 years ago. It's just their mo is they think that they can give them relatively cheap deals, even though they're still paying decent dollar for each of the three guys that they brought in. And I think they have the three highest ERAs on the team between Familia, Hand, and Knebel. And those are the guys that you spent the money for. And they're all rehab projects, and none of them ever seem to turn out. So, with Knebel, yeah, I don't consider him our closer, even though they treat him as such, but he doesn't have the stuff.
Yep.
I've not seen stuff from him.
Decent curveball, but I mean, he can't locate it.
That's not closer stuff.
Yeah, but he doesn't locate it. So it wouldn't
Right.
even matter. Like if you can't put a fastball anywhere near the plate, the curveball is going to do you no good. And then when he does locate it, it's low and inside to lefties that just rip it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not least special.
And then I ask you about Familia. I'm glad you brought his name up last night. What a disaster. Does not cover first on a ground ball to first base. Then they throw him a simple ball, drops it.
Yeah.
Run scored. Now, Bilotti lets up the big runs in the next inning, but in the homer to Jock. But
Right.
like this is what like
But you lost the game right there in that moment.
you did.
You did.
You did. And we got lucky because Baum actually hit a ball up the middle. They hit a base. Hit a
Right.
base and then popped up in the air and went over the second baseman. That's how we tied it. But I
Right.
knew that was it. So I guess the ultimate question to you while we're on the Phillies talk. Is it Joe? Is it Joe Girardi? Does something need to change? Is the message not there? Is the tinkering with the lineups not there? Is the use of the bullpen incorrect? Or is it just a case because we watched Gabe Kapler last night, and that's why it kind of makes me want to ask you this question. We watched Gabe, who we shuttered out of town early or right on time, but he's doing well in San Fran. Is it Gabe? Is it Joe, I should say? Or do we have to exude patience and understand that it's the players?
It's honestly, it's a mix of everything. If you could, put them all together, because the thing is, I don't think it was going to work with Gabe here, regardless. I think he's doing something out in San Francisco. I think they have a different culture. I think they draft better players. Not that they're really any household names. Like San Francisco doesn't scare you when you look at their lineup and their pitching. There's really not too much there.
Yep.
I think they just have just fundamentally good guys who are just good at what they do, and they just, toe the line. I think Gabe Kapler also probably learned a lesson from what he did here. He probably backed off a little bit off of the analytics. So I think that he grew up there. But I think Joe Girardi is, I think we know what we have with him because, you hear all the people from New York say that they were ready for him to go. They got tired of him. He
Yep.
ran out his stay. He leaves his head in the notebook. He's too worried about the analytics and not about the game that's going on. And he's got these theories and he tries to say, like, I'm doing this. If this guy pitched last night, he's not pitching. And blah, 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 blah. But then he'll put Knable out there 3 games in a row and he'll blow 3 saves in a row. So, like, there's no rhyme or reason to the things that he does. And he doesn't hold himself accountable. And it's just, and I mean, you see it in his press conferences and everything. He's just sleepy and and there's no fire there. There's no ire. And it's a mix everybody. And it does come with the players too. I think there's a lot of undisciplined players and, but nobody's holding them accountable. I think honestly, everybody has their hand in it. There's not one reason, but there's a reason why they didn't re-sign Girardi before the season. They went in with a lame duck contract, and that's the writing on the wall. That's all you needed. It gave them an out to get out from under this contract. Now the only problem is who's his replacement, and that's. But I do think that the change needs to be there. I think he's the scapegoat. He's the scapegoat, whether you like it or not. He's a scapegoat.
Cease, I hope Mark just answered your question. And yes, I agree. Listen, I'm not a guy. I love managers getting a longer leash. I think a lot of times we just point them out, and really they get the undue blame. And in the end, a lot of it should be on the players. And I agree with that stance. But when you're like, I forget what the record is, but I think after last night was 11-25 in extra inning or 1-run, 2-run games. That's bad. That's a little bit of that, and maybe let me say a lot of that is the manager, and he just really just tinkers way too much. Doesn't have a feel for, necessarily the game. We had a guy that was over analytical, like that had the was playing by percentages, not by baseball. And today, we got a guy that just plays old school. I would love just something in the middle of both. And unfortunately,
I thought that Girardi's pretty over analytical too, though.
Yeah, you might be right.
He's done the area that I will say that he does that. I understand what he's trying to do with the lineups. I get that because you're trying to just see if you can fit a guy, but I don't think you're leaving them there long enough. And I can even tell you myself, just from playing softball, like if I get moved up in the lineup or if I get moved down, it even though it's not a big deal, it changes your psyche a little bit about like, you get moved down, you're like, oh, damn, like obviously like I got demoted, like you think of it that way. And to and from, and nobody gets consistent. You can't stay when your lineup keeps changing. And like it's a different mentality of who you are and what type of hitter you're supposed to be in that spot. So I understand why he's doing that, even though it doesn't really work. But the bullpen, the way he uses the bullpen is absolutely horrible.
Horrible.
I mean, you look at their 13 games out of first place, maybe 12 and a half now because of tonight's win in the division. Because I know they're only 7 games below 500. But I would say he's blown at least 7 or 8 of those losses should not have happened. At least, because I'm not going to he'll go 3 days without pitching Sir Anthony Dominguez, and he probably had like 10 pitches in the last time he pitched. These aren't the guys who are saying that they're not available. It's Girardi saying, "Well, I don't like this matchup." Sometimes we worry too much about the matchups. I get it. Now, if you know that somebody if Jock Peterson beats, Sir Anthony Dominguez every time he's up, then yeah, you're not gonna face him there. But sometimes stop worrying about righty, lefty, lefty, righty all the time. But that's what the guy is the stuff. The guy is the stuff.
I guess that's where I consider him more old school because last night Brandon Crawford got called as a pinch hitter, and I think he hits like 0-20 against the changeup, and Brogdon was in, had already got 2 people out, and was looking good, and that's his best pitch. He brings in Sir Anthony. Sir Anthony versus left-handed batters, I think their batting average was over 300, and they rip him. He got away with it. He got out of it because there was a pop-up, but it made no sense. It made no sense with what the actual like numbers were analytically.
Right.
So I just like with him, yeah, he just makes these just head scratchers. Like I guess they were playing the Mets. Maybe it was Sunday or Saturday. Canha's up, and they have nobody on the right side of the infield. He just ducks one over there. He's known to make contact and poke one the other way, and he plays a shift on the left side to him. Like it just, just the things like rolling out Nola. I mean, I guess today, yes, he had to keep going, but there's been many times he's let him get a third time around in the lineup, and he got ripped.
Right. Nola is known for third time around the lineup figures him out.
Yeah, and I mean that's. To me, it feels like Joe a little bit. But anyway, like he's just I want to like him. He's from around this area. He is a Phillies fan. I know he wants to do well, but in the end, if they don't turn this thing around, I will give him till the end of this month. That's it. It's over. And I mean that gives them till the end of June. The last 3 World Series champions were under 500 come game 42. Now we're sitting at game 50. 51 after today. So it's a little deeper in the season, but the Braves, Nationals, 2 recent World Series champs were under 500 game 40. So that's why I'll give to the end of June, but that's about it.
I'll be honest, I don't feel hopeful about it. I don't even think you give him that long. I don't think I can give him that long. Like I just feel like there are a bunch of zombies out there right now.
They do look bad. I agree.
They look terrible. They look as you're only as strong as your weakest link. And I think he's their weakest link right now as a manager. And I think they're following his tutelage of just showing up. And that's it. Just showing up.
All right. So I asked the $1 million question, and I think we're both on the same side. So the $2 million question is, who's next? Do you have any guys that you would have in mind? Because there are a few out there that I've seen and a few out there that I might even throw.
So, I mean, it sounds like it depends on how they're treating it, but obviously Dombrowski's guy is Jim Leland.
Yep.
And
he's alive?
He is.
All right. Yeah. All right.
But I think John Heyman did a piece, and actually Ken Rosenthal wrote something the other day, and John Heyman talked about it. And I don't know if he either just happened to speak to Leland or whatever, but he said he's not interested in coming back right now.
And I'm okay
they're all alluding to the Phillies job.
Yeah.
Now, could it be a ploy to, make sure it's not just a finish out the season, like it's a 2-3 year deal type of thing? I don't know. Maybe that's his way. Or he really doesn't want to be a part of it. But La Russa's 77 and he's managing.
That's what I was getting at. Yeah.
Right. So
and he's lost touch this year.
Right.
Yeah.
I think there's him. I mean, that's the guy that would make sense. I think there's another guy with local ties.
Give it to me.
Played here for a short stint. He's an up-and-comer. Raul Ibanez.
That's what I've been talking about. I got a guy that tweeted me that name the other night, and I just jumped. I said, yes. He just seems like that natural leader. Like,
I just don't know if this is the spot right here in the middle of the season for a guy who's getting his first job. I don't see that he would want to do that. Maybe it's less pressure. Maybe it's, but I would think it would be more pressure, even though, they're just like, look, here's the situation. Come in and try and save us. But, we know it's going to be tough, and we're not going to put this on you. That would be the only way that I think that he would be comfortable with coming in.
Yeah. No, I like it. And the thing about Raul, what I like is I'm looking at teams like when Boston won, weren't they? Was Joey Cora there? I know he's back up there now. He had
Alex Cora?
Alex Cora. Yeah, I call him Alex Joey Cora. But yeah, I know he had to take a year off with all that
Yeah,
sign
the
stealing stuff.
suspension. Yeah.
Yeah, they're playing better. I'm just thinking the guys that former big leaguers that have popped in. Craig Counsell's doing well in Milwaukee.
Well, now like Gabe
Um,
Kapler.
oh yeah, yeah. Um,
Yeah, no, it's
Luke Roberts.
definitely. I'm just saying, but are you saying did those guys come in mid-season or?
No, I'm just thinking the guys that weren't too far off from being retired, and,
Because I
and they
think
seem to work out, and instead of the older like dinosaurs.
right, because I think that if Raul doesn't have a job by the end of this season, and if the Phillies job becomes available, I think there's definitely a real chance that he's the manager next year.
Yeah,
I just don't know if he takes the job mid-season because you're already coming in with a strike against you.
yeah. No, I agree. I've heard some names like Rob Thompson. I think he's on the staff right now
Yeah,
that he could
yes,
probably take in and just roll the season out. Um, they've even sprinkled Larry Bowa out there back again.
right.
I just don't think that's
I don't think that's going to
necessarily.
be the one.
But the one name I would be interested in, and I don't really call him a dinosaur, but Bruce Bochy's out there still, right? Too.
Yeah,
Um, but I think he's settled in. And doesn't I think he just wants to be retired. But it's a name that I would. They were awesome in San Fran when he was there. I think they won
right.
2 World Series. Um, good in San Diego. I'd be interested in a name like that for sure.
Yeah, I think that would have to be. I think if you want to make something out of this season, I think you got to go and get somebody who's been there before, like a Bochy.
Yeah,
I think that makes more sense. Or a Leland, somebody who has experience and somebody who is willing to, get under these guys. I mean, they need something. They need fire. They don't play inspired at all. It's
no,
boring. They're boring.
yeah. But Bochy's 64, retired, or 65 now, whatever it is. But yeah, we'll see. But the Ibanez name, I'm glad you brought that up because it
Yes.
is a name that I mean, I was strongly, strongly considering. When you look back at those teams from 08, 09, um, he's probably the best candidate. I mean, we love our Chase, we love our Jimmys, but
Yeah.
um, it's usually a catcher, and that's what Girardi is, but it's
Right.
not going to be Chooch. And better than that, Ibanez was he was a heart and soul. So it'd be interesting.
Weren't Council and Kapler, weren't they outfielders?
Well, Council was an infielder. He was scrappy.
Okay.
But Kapler was an outfielder.
Yeah.
He was like your run through a wall type of guy. He
Right.
just didn't have.
And then what? Core was an infielder?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So you got your like Chase Utley types then,
Right.
Jimmy.
You never really have a pitcher. Pitchers aren't usually.
Ooh. Yeah, I can't think of one of the last
Yeah,
ones because Boone's up in New York still, right? And he's
Yeah. He was a second
third
base.
base, second and third. Yeah.
That's Aaron Boone because I'm thinking of Brett Boone because I don't think
Yeah.
Brett never got. But
Yeah, I think Aaron played third, but he might have played a little second too.
right.
But yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I can't think of
Yeah, I
it.
don't think pitchers really end up as managers.
Yeah, I was trying to think Dusty, but I think Dusty was a big hitter too. Baker. Yeah, I think you're right. Most times than not, and it's just like quarterbacks in football, right? Most times they don't end up as. I mean,
Right.
Peterson did, but he was the backup quarterback. It's not
But
the.
he was a career backup.
Yeah, it's not the starters. It's not the Peyton
Right.
Manners. Yeah,
Right. Frank Reich, another backup, career
yeah,
backup.
yeah, yeah. But I'll tell you one thing. It's gonna be interesting. They got the Angels rolling in this weekend. Obviously, Trout probably needs about 1,000 tickets, and the game I was at the other night, he's gonna have no problem getting 1,000. He can probably get
Yeah.
20,000, and they'll be fine.
Yep.
But it's gonna be interesting. It's got to turn around quick. So I got Girardi on the leash until the end of the month. I say they need to be at least 500 or within a game or two of 500 for them to keep going. And you got them within the next week or two. Something's got to turn then.
I would think by the beginning of next week he's got to be out of here.
If things don't turn around.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, especially this Angels team they're never, and they're a disappointment. I'm kind of looking at some of the teams like the Phillies are a huge disappointment, obviously to us. But you look at the Angels and the Padres; they've been two of the other like really big disappointing teams who, you know, it seems like it doesn't always work buying everybody and just like kind of making it all work that way.
Well, and then they got that idiot Joe Madden. Like, I'm just not
Right,
a Joe Madden guy.
right, yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
they have so much talent, and I would be devastated if I were an Angels fan just dealing with all that.
I'm not sure, and maybe off the top of my head, I'm not sure Trout's ever made the playoffs.
No, I don't think he
I
has.
don't think he has either.
I'm
Now,
99% sure he hasn't.
I think you're right, and now
And
this
he's
year,
like my favorite player, and it doesn't matter.
yeah, and this year they were up like 10 games over 500. Now they're down to
Yeah,
27, 23.
yeah,
Got a doubleheader in New York tomorrow and then head this way. So at least we'll get them a little exhausted. But,
right.
they're not, like you said, they've lost 6 in a row. So they're not playing great baseball coming into here. So maybe we get lucky. And Otani's pitching tomorrow. So at least we'll get to avoid that too. All right. That's a lot of baseball for one show, which we love. We love baseball. But let's talk about the NBA. And the NBA had a classic Game 7 just this past Sunday as the Miami Heat and Boston Celtics teed it off for the Eastern Conference Finals. Celtics pulling it out. I don't want to say late. They had to lead the whole game, but, man, they had to hold on late. How's that? As the Heat really closed that game in a fury. Down 2. Well, they were down 13, made it down 2, got the ball. Jimmy Buckets, your boy,
My boys.
pulls up for 3 with under 30 seconds left to try and win the game. I want to ask you, because we were all watching. It was late at night that night, and my wife doesn't watch a lot of basketball. She's like, "Why would he do that?" And at first, I'm like, "I love the shot," and then I went back and saw who he was against and who was down low, and then I started to hate the shot. He had Al Horford on him and nobody protecting the bucket. He could have blown by, at least got to the foul line.
Yeah.
Curious what you thought about that play.
There's a reason why Jimmy Butler hasn't won a championship yet. And I mean, I know they had, and I'm not talking shit on Jimmy Butler because I love Butler. I really, truly do. And him on this team, I really think there's a decent chance that the Sixers would have a championship either this year or last year had they made things work and moved on from Ben and they put the focus on him. I think he's the type of player that the Sixers needed. That being said, he had a fantastic playoffs besides what was it, game 4 and game 5, where he disappeared a little bit.
About 3, 4, and 5. He averaged 9 points in those 3 games.
Yeah. So obviously, like, he's got that he can get lost. He's a very good player, but I think he felt like he needed to, even though he's already got a name for himself, I think he wanted to be the one that won at what cost. And it was a steep cost.
Yeah.
By taking that shot.
0 assists in game 7, I think, too.
Yeah. So I think it was just him trying to put the team on his back and be the star when they have more options than that. And I think, I don't want to say it's selfish, but it kind of was.
I don't disagree. I mean, but to be great, you got to be a little selfish, if not a lot. And
you do, but I mean, when you go back through that situation, it just seemed like there was a play to be had.
Yeah. No, and I think they could have at least created a foul there inside the
right.
game.
Right. He had no problem doing that most of the playoffs. He did it against us at will.
Right.
He drew fouls against us at will. You put yourself in the position, you can at least tie it easily.
Yep.
But you got greedy and you went for the win. And you wanted to be like, this is my team. I put them on my back. Now, we know it's your team, but
that's Jimmy.
That's that foot, right?
That dog mentality. And
right.
Yeah. Oh man, it made for a great night and a great game, and now we move on to the NBA Finals, the Boston Celtics and the Golden State Warriors. Before we get into that matchup, let me just ask you this, because we watched a lot. Obviously, the basketball in the Eastern Conference Finals was good, but it was, for the most part, a lot of blowouts. Now they had a good couple games, 6 and 7 there, and that made it really intriguing at the end. In the end, do you think the Sixers could have really even competed with the Celtics and gotten to the finals?
Not the way that the Celtics are playing right now. Absolutely not.
Yeah. So
It's true. I was listening to the radio earlier tonight, and they were talking about you know the Sixers and where they've been over the past couple of years. Last year was their easiest route.
oh
Last year, even though this team I still do think was better than last year's team. I mean, they had it
number
right.
one seed.
They had the number one seed, and literally they played Atlanta in the second round, which they should have. It
Yep.
shouldn't have even been close.
And
But you look
Milwaukee
at
coming
this
off a
year,
7-game series versus Brooklyn, like they were there to be taken.
this series, against Boston. I mean, Boston just. I think what was it? December, January. Boston just turned it on. They've never looked
Yep.
back.
Yep.
I remember they were down. They at one point I think they weren't even in playoff contention in like late December.
A game or two under 500 for
And
sure.
they just skyrocketed up to the top. And everybody's playing great. Yeah, I don't think the Sixers would have had a chance the way that they were playing.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you there. So let's move on to this finals. And I'll tell you, it's an intriguing matchup. You got what's coming out right now, Golden State, I think minus 150, Boston about plus 135, 130 in the series. You can get a few different odd and angles, which whatever way you like, I don't disagree, but it is the closest finals or the second closest finals in the past 15 years. We really got a matchup where I could be convinced either way. I'm not, man, back in the day, I loved the Warriors. I love the Splash Brothers. I've been a little bit kind of down on the way that they've been like playing in this postseason and like trying to put people to sleep and night and dancing around the tables. And I don't know. It's just a different team that doesn't seem to know that they're great, that seems to want to make you feel like they're great, like wants to push it in your face. Let's not forget, John Morant got his knee twisted in game 3 of that series and couldn't play the last 3 games. And he was torching you. And let's not forget, I mean, there was a little bit of luck too, even in this Dallas series. I know they were able to win one there and then take control late, but the one in game 2 in Golden State, they did overcome a 20-point deficit at home. So I get it, right? I get it. I get they're great. I get really why I think they're great is they're deep. They can pull Poole, they can pull Kuminga, they can run so many different guys at you. They can go 9-10 deep and you only they're good.
Yes.
I just haven't been a big fan of the way they acted. Now, I go back to this though. I'll never cheer for Boston in my life. Just ain't going to happen, not going to happen. You can say what you want, even if my money's on the line. I don't care. I am not cheering for that team from up there. So then I'm going to side with Golden State. A little bit of a heart pick here. I do think some good value you could get on Boston, but for me, I'm going to go Golden State in 6. I do think Boston makes this a series. My biggest concern is Boston had a chance to close out Game 6 against Miami and choked. They did the same against Milwaukee and then had to win Game 6 in Milwaukee. They had to control the series. I feel like they dragged this on too much, and versus a quality team like Golden State, I don't think they're going to let them get a second breath. So, in the end, I think Golden State wins this in 6.
See, when you first brought this up, I was thinking, you know what? I think it makes sense for Golden State. They've been here before. They've done it before. But it is a different team. Yes, you have the core of Clay, Steph, and Draymond.
Yep.
But remember, they had those 2 first-round draft picks from last year. They had the rise of Jordan Poole. It's not the same team, and that's the point that you're getting to is, they weren't in like dynasty mode, but they're trying to get there. But I think it's 2 different teams, even though it's not that much different. There's just a different feel. There's a different aura. There's a different sense around them. I think the fact that Clay was out for so long, and I think the fact that Steph had his injuries, and the Warriors were irrelevant there for 2 years, really. I think it kind of like they forgot how to be what they were.
Yeah.
And I think I mean, obviously they've made it work. I mean, the fact that they're in the finals, but like you said, John Morant doesn't twist his knee, there's probably a chance that they don't even make it past Memphis in that series. And they kind of did get a layup with having to face Dallas. You know what I mean?
Better than
Like,
Phoenix. Yep.
right, right. And I think Phoenix, they kind of blew it for themselves, but I think Phoenix would have been able to defend what the Warriors do. With that being said, I agree with you. I'm rooting Warriors. I
Yep.
can't root for the Celtics. But you know what? This is my fear. And it's kind of just like it all comes back around. Like, one, Jason Tatum is their star. It's kind of like everything anti-Sixers here. Jason Tatum is their star. I know everybody always tries to say, why didn't we draft Jason Tatum? They were never drafting Jason Tatum. I
No,
didn't Jason Tatum. It was never happening.
he would have had to
The
fall.
Sixers were either going. The
right?
Sixers were either going to take Fultz at 3, or they were taking Fultz at 1. And they took Fultz at 1, but they got suckered into trading and making, because Boston made us think that we were taking Fultz. So that's strike 1. Strike 2, Al Horford has come back from the dead. Of course, he's terrible here. Goes back to Boston, goes to the Thunder, and then goes back to Boston, and he's, Al Horford of old. Obviously, just a little older, not as dominant as he used to be before, but still doing a whole hell of a lot for the Celtics.
Great
And
point.
3, Ime Udoka, their head coach,
Yep.
was right here.
Before
Last year, and it doesn't matter. And he's got them, and it's not. And in basketball, the coach matters, and he's shown it. Like, he's just a good coach, and it was somebody that we had, and we let him walk out the building, and it seems like, I think that as deep as Golden State is, I think Boston is just better stacked. I think they're a more complete team.
Yeah.
You have 2 really athletic scorers in Tatum and Brown.
Yep.
Marcus Smart is that dog. Al Horford's playing great. You got Robert Williams. Like, and they just have these other guys. I'm trying to think of who the other 2 are.
Grant Williams is a
Grant Williams.
Yeah.
And then the guy,
Peyton Pritchard.
maybe is he the skinny one with the? Who's their point guard? That he might be a backup.
Little white dude, Peyton Pritchard.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
He's got a little dog mentality. Came from Oregon.
Right. And so, honestly, see, here's the thing. I would say that I would take the Celtics in 6 with all of that going for them. But
Yeah.
I'm rooting Warriors hard. I don't want to see the C's.
Yeah, and that's why I think there's value in betting the Celtics. What I'm going to do, for anyone that follows some of my other betting advices, I'm probably going to watch the Celtics get smoked in game 1 and then take some Celtics action on the series after that. Because I just think it's going to be hard. Celtics just coming off 2 straight game 7s. They got a little dinged up as well. And Warriors are sitting back and healthy. I think game 1 probably goes the Warriors' way, and probably decidedly. And then there's value on the Celtics after that. So that's probably the angle I'll take. But obviously, we'll see as the series goes on. What I will say, Mark, Golden State, big LA, not LA, but California kind of, following, and then Boston, big East Coast following. Close series. It is going to be pretty cool. Like, I think it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, I remember watching the Celtics and Warriors play in a game a couple years ago, and I'm like, this is the matchup that the NBA would really like, not love, but really like where you get most of the country involved just because of where they are and the types of fan bases. I mean, I think it would be interesting for them. So I think this is definitely, one of the more exciting ones that we're going to watch. Like, remember last year was Phoenix and Milwaukee. That's, there's great players on the court, but it's a tough sell.
Yep. But hey, news with the Sixers real fast. There's 2 big things that were going on. Joe got all mended up, but it was really on the hand. I haven't heard much about the eye yet. Sounds like there's a finger issue too.
Yes. So the hand, or I mean the orbital bone. Remember, they said that there was no surgery required for that.
That's right.
It would just heal on its own.
Yeah.
Obviously, he got the right thumb, right? That's a shooting hand. The right thumb was the dislocated, or what was it? Yeah, was it dislocated thumb or the torn?
Yeah, well, it had an MRI, so there was a tear in there. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the left index finger, which nobody knew
Surprised.
about.
Yeah.
That's the one that they said he got both, and it was just like, no, didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah. So, but at least he's starting to heal up. Now, the other news that came out today, the Brooklyn Nets are going to decline as part of the trade that we had this year for Harden. They had the option to take in this year's first round pick or next year's. They've chosen to go next year. So we're getting back a first round pick, number 23 now.
Right.
I'm just curious, like, look, Maxey got drafted, what, 20? I think it
Yeah.
was. Right there, right in the pocket,
Yeah.
1920 area.
That was me
Uh,
too.
I think there's a little bit of value in 23. I guess the Brooklyn Nets are sitting there saying, hey, East is going to be better. We're going to be better. We're going to knock those guys backwards. We'll get better value next year. Harden stinks. That's really what I think they're looking at.
Yeah.
For me, I'm kind of excited. Getting another pick, and this is a deep draft right now. It's got some upper talent towards the top, which is great. But after that, it kind of just spreads itself. A lot of European players coming over. I think you got a chance maybe to steal at 23 if everything falls right, like it did that one year with Maxey.
Right. Well, that's the thing. There is a huge thing that made things fall right.
Yeah,
COVID.
you were on air.
COVID. I mean, the thing is with Maxi didn't get the opportunity to showcase in the tournament. Had
Yeah,
he been in the tournament, I think he's at least he's a lottery pick if he's
yeah,
in the tournament. I think he's just got that motor and he turns it on.
yep.
And then again, things kind of fell our way that way. I mean, that was Mike Muscala making 2 threes at the end of a game that might have either been in the bubble or something like that. Or no, it wasn't the bubble, but it was before. But it fell into our hands. We weren't supposed to have 20. We were supposed to be that wasn't supposed to convert or something, convey, and it all happened to luck. But with that being said, look, they need all the help that they can get. Uh,
Yeah,
depending on which route they decide this summer, you're gonna need some depth. You're gonna need to find somebody. I mean, here's say what you want about Morey, but he does draft decently. He's gotten a couple players in the later round, like in the second round, that contribute. So if you get a guy in that, again, and did he get Maxi or no?
no,
No,
no. He's Brand.
right, Brant, yeah. So
Actually, it might have. You know what? To be honest with you, it might have been Burner Man.
mm, Maxi's only been here. No.
Yeah, no, he was going and then
No,
Burner.
he was going way before Burner, or I
Yeah,
mean, after Burner. Yeah.
yeah,
But like the Paul Reeds of the world, the Charles Bassies, like I mean, really, Paul Reed is the one who actually played, G League MVP. So I mean, we'll see. I think it's good. I think they need, like I said, they need all the help that they can get, and especially with uncertain times and what they're going to do moving forward.
yeah. And one of the name that floats up on ESPN's list right now is EJ Liddell. Good player out of Ohio State, their leader. Good stretch four, guy that can protect the rim a little bit, hit jumpers from the outside. Listen, I'll take anything right now because we lack depth in so many different areas. And it showed. I mean, even when we go back to game 6 in Miami, once Danny Green went down, and that's crazy to think. I can't believe I'm saying this, but they had
We're relying on Danny Green.
we relied on Danny Green. We really did. He was he helped win 2 games in that series, games 3 and 4. So and really George's Niang was just totally going lost. And that's okay. He's been good in other times, but you didn't have another option. So you had to keep rolling him out. If you can get some other options, get some better depth in here. Shake played pretty well. But you really need some better depth in here. You never dusted off Cork Motts. And that's a sign of what were we even doing signing him?
Yeah.
I still question a lot of it. But getting the 23 back in the fold, pick number 23, I think that's good for the Sixers. I understand Brooklyn's thinking. I don't disagree with it per se because they have a lot of players right now. They had a few picks last year too. So I don't disagree with it, but I'm happy we have a pick this year because I think this is year it's all in.
It's absolutely all in this year. I mean, I think you have to figure it out one way or the other because if not, it's going to be, if it's not this year, I think then we're going to start heading back towards the process and yeah, we're going to start blowing things up. To be honest, I think that's a real possibility.
Yeah, yeah, no, I hear you, man. But good news for the Sixers, and obviously good news that Joel is back on the mend. We'll see. He did get a couple snubs since we've been on. He's, we've talked about MVP, but second team All NBA. I get it when Jokic wins MVP, but even Tatum was out there tweeting.
Yeah.
Really?
He said it in his interview or his press conference, and he went on about it. He goes, "Look, I think it should be positionless."
Yeah.
He was like he spoke about less about how happy, like he said he was happy, like obviously he, was named
Yeah.
to that team, but like he said, like I still think there's things that are messed up about it. I still think that there's not a criteria for it. They're just putting it to a position. It's just like really, and he didn't say this, but they're probably, if anything, if you should do a top 15. I mean, if you do a top 15, you can't say that Embiid's not part of that. The
Right.
top five, like you can't.
Yep. No, for sure.
Everyone knows unanimously. I mean, really, I think the majority of the league, the players themselves, had Embiid as their MVP. But this is what happens. It's
most of the players probably have it too.
that's what yeah.
Yeah. So, moving over real fast, we got a couple minutes left here. I'm just checking, flipping through a few things. We got the Eagles to touch on. Not a ton going on, but I have seen lately some of their odds move a little bit in the betting market. I think people are starting to respect what Howie's done this offseason. I think they're starting to see that this team did get better and the teams around them did get worse. So I guess the simple question, while we don't have a ton of news going on right now in the Eagles world, is more for you from the standpoint of how close did they get, in your opinion, to the Dallas Cowboys? And did they leap them?
Honestly, I mean, I think they're neck and neck. I think just Dallas didn't do anything to improve. They didn't use the draft to improve.
Amari Cooper's going.
Amari Cooper, choosing Michael Gallup over him. I understand the money, but you're stuck with Ezekiel Elliott. You have Dak Prescott. The line's only getting worse. They're getting older. They don't have a tight end. Like obviously they have CeeDee Lamb, but like that only takes you so far. They've had wide receiver talent for years, going back to Des Bryant, and it's only taken them so far to like barely any playoff wins. It's I don't think there's enough there that I don't think they did anything to say that we're better. Now, the Eagles are hit or miss, but I think the Eagles at least did everything in their power, and I think they might still be working at it, but they at least did everything in their power to say, we're trying for this year.
Yeah.
We know that things are hit or miss with the quarterback, but we're gonna put the best around him. Anything that we can do around him, and I think that's where it matters. At least, like, look, they know he's not the best. Well, they don't have a lot of hope in him, but they're giving him every opportunity at least, and that's something that I said. As much as you and I don't believe in him,
Yeah.
you need to give him every opportunity to prove that he's not the guy. Because if you do try and get a quarterback another way, it's going to cost a lot, and then you're going to be back in another position. So you better at least see if this guy can be valuable and if this guy can play quarterback for you or not. Because if not, it's going to cost you a lot of capital to go get him.
I agree. And next year, there's some studs coming out. The good news is, as far as next year goes, everybody's pretty much has their quarterback in a way. The teams that will stink this year that may not have their quarterback, okay, we'll see. Like, I'm not sure where the Commanders will end up. I'm not sure where the Giants will end up. Those two teams could probably battle to find a quarterback, but
Falcons, they're another one.
They
Saints
could.
are another one. Panthers are another one. I'm telling you, I could go through the list. I think there's more quarterbacks that are undecided than not.
Yeah,
That's what
maybe.
I hear. They
Well,
might.
where's your boy Baker go?
That's what I'm surprised about, that there still hasn't been any movement there with that yet. Yeah,
Yeah,
Seahawks are another one. Um, really, I think it's the Seahawks or the Panthers.
it's got to be right.
You right. Seattle honestly makes more sense to me. You can't roll Drew Lock out
Gino
there
or Gino.
or
Yeah,
Gino.
you can't.
Gino's been in the league since Chip Kelly was here. It's way too long, and he was never good.
Right? No, I hear you, man. Like it's I don't know. I can see the gaps that you're saying. My point, I guess, being I think the worst teams in the league may not be them. Those teams might need quarterbacks, but somehow they'll compete a little bit. The
Right.
worst teams in the league may end up someone once again like Detroit. They've been kind of stockpiling picks and using them and executing. Do they go quarterback next year? Maybe now that at that point they'll know what they have in Goff. But if not, the Eagles could maybe sneak up with the capital that they invested. Because for one thing, Saints aren't sneaking up. We got their first round pick.
Right. Right.
Colts will probably need a quarterback, but they won't be up there. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. So if it doesn't work out this year for Hurts, I do see it'll be pricey, but I see a potential for the Eagles with the capital they have to move up. I know one thing. The original question was, have they closed the gap? And I do think they
Yes.
have, and I think they've closed it significantly. So I'm with you. The neck and neck is probably a really good term right now. I think the Dallas Cowboys, man, they had a chance the past couple of years. And they didn't really take advantage of that chance. And I think now it's going to start really coming back. I mean, look, I think we all saw what Ezekiel Elliott was. Nothing. They had a better running back in the backfield than it was Elliott. And then the wide receivers didn't get much better. They got worse, like you said. And Dak, okay, but he's just injury prone. Offensive line wearing down. D-back's terrible. Micah Parsons, great find, great draft pick. Got it. One man can't be a defense. And that's really what it feels like right now. They lost out. What's the DN that Gregory?
Gregory.
Yeah, went out to Denver, I think it was.
Yeah, because there was a clause or something in his contract, and he
Yeah.
was going to sign with them and didn't agree with it, so he flipped and went to Denver. And
They just lost a lot of pieces, and I think it's close, man. And then let's put the final nail in the coffin. They're carrying a first place schedule, and they pick up two tougher teams than we'll get, and that in the end, I think could be a big deal when it comes down to a very thin margin for error. So I'm excited. Training camp always starts up in July, so we'll be talking about that soon as the Eagles start getting into that mode. Man, NHL, the Rangers won tonight. We're far away from that. Flyers are terrible, but you got anything else?
wait, I did have something else. No, maybe it was the Rangers. Maybe that's
That
because
was
I
a
was
big game.
6-2. It got chippy at the end, but usually that happens in a high scoring game when you get blown out like that.
Yeah, and I mean the Lightning were coming off a sweep of the Panthers, in-state rivals, but then before that they took Game 7 in Toronto. So these Lightning don't die. I think one thing I know is that the Lightning might thrive off this type of
Yeah.
situation, might even need it. But good on the Rangers. They were down, I want to say 2-0 in the Carolina series. 3-2. They came back and won Game 7 there. So they've obviously shown their resiliency. And over in the West, God, I love Edmonton. I love McDavid, but he ain't touching the Avalanche. The Avalanche torched them the other night. And, good for Edmonton getting this far. It's been a while, and it kind of secures the path they're going with McDavid, but it's the Avalanche's time. So they're going to be a tough out for whoever comes out of the East.
For sure.
Yeah. All right, bud. We'll get back at it next week. Maybe Joe will still be here. Maybe he won't.
Yeah.
If he's not, we'll have a ton to talk about. If he's still here, we'll still have a ton to talk about. This is Fourth and Go every Wednesday here on the Heat Ratio Network. I'm Dave Kleckner. That's Marc Tomasini. Follow us on Twitter. Keep an eye on what's going on. Got a lot of big things coming in the new year here as we build up the Heat Ratio Sports Network. Tony Cotillo, our guy, is always grinding, and we're just following that lead and helping out. Big things to come for sure. Thanks for those who checked in tonight, especially Adam Cease. As always, you're the man. But until next week, I'm Dave. That's Marc. Winning Wednesday.